Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Today I was thinking about watching some Speed. I was craving a little bit of Speed TvZ, so I pulled together a few games from the ladder. Got like 4 or 5 games, something like that. If some of these are not good, I'll probably leave them out of this compilation video. I'll put the best games in. Hopefully it's a longer video. Despite that, not all of these are super well-known players. For instance, this first player is TvZ Gold, who is a pretty highly rated Zerg player. I have his ID here at 2486, number 64 on the ladder at the moment. And it's interesting, recently the ladder's been a little bit dead. It's been a little quiet. Not quite as many people playing regularly. Not as many pro gamers playing regularly, that's for sure. And I haven't seen many drop hackers either. The top 10 of the ladder has had suspiciously few drop hackers recently, which is an interesting turn of events, but Speed is still pumping out a ton of games. Soma's still pumping out a ton of games. Players are still using the ladder to practice and hone their skills. It's not as useful as a tool as it maybe used to be, but for multiple different reasons, different players are either continuing to use it or kind of shying away from the ladder. Now we've got Speed opening up with a gas, and we may end up seeing double starport out of him. You can see he was mining 2 on gas right up until that drone came in, but that was about the time when he got up to 100 gas, so that's pretty standard to pull SCVs off of gas. Once the factory starts, just leave 1 on there and start to pump out some vultures. Now that he's stopped mining off of that gas, it's very likely that we're not going to see any sort of Wraith play. And the Marine is going to head back home. That's a very important Marine. You can't be losing that. Speed going to maneuver around in this main base, keeping this SCV alive, even though the drone is being pretty persistent. Oh my gosh. Tripping all over myself. Excuse me. He will keep this alive for now. 2 Ling's gonna work on that. Ooh, gets quite a bit of damage there. TvZ Gold about to take this thing out. SCV on only 5 HP, and he hasn't been able to see the tech just yet. There it is, it goes down. Pretty good job by TvZ Gold getting rid of that early SCV with very minimal investment into Lings. Usually you'll see 4 Lings. He's only gone for 2 this game. And he's opted to get that sunken colony in the front. Absolutely necessary when you know there's a vulture coming. You gotta get that thing out there. It's a costly early investment, but he didn't put too many larvae into Lings, and so he should be able to drone up behind this. With the Lings on the ramp, unlikely that we'll see a run by either. And with this armory on the way, I expect we're gonna see just pure mech play out of Speed. Not what I was expecting from him going into this series, but here we are. Just a straight up mech play from good old Speed. He's so strong with the bio play. It makes me feel a little bit weird seeing him even attempt to go mech. But if his mech play is anywhere near as good as his bio, we're going to see fireworks here in the mid game. I'm curious to see, and I'm sure that our Zerg player also curious as to whether this is going to be 5 factory mech with a massive push, or is he going to go for a starport a little bit sooner, like 3 factory into starport, and try to maximize on upgrades. This is not CC first mech, so it's not like he can do, you know, double armory with a bunch of factories or anything like that. He has to kind of choose one or the other. Trying to run in to this natural, not going to pay off, as the hatchery plus evolution chamber wall in, blocking up this natural very nicely. I like the positioning on the hatchery, by the way. This is a really nice spot, and look at this. Overlord over top of a Ling that's on hold position. That is an excellent way to block out any sort of run by, because in order to kill that Ling, you have to target it. And with the Ling on hold position under the Overlord, you just cannot target. And so you get your larva very close inside your base. Like if you put the hatchery out a bit farther, it's pretty prone to getting picked off by something like a tank push, or just a straight up Goliath push. You're gonna see TvZ Gold move in now, pulling back the mutas that are injured. He's trying not to lose any to this initial attack. He kills one Goliath, takes some damage on his mutas, but doesn't lose even one muta, which is pretty nice for this initial dive. He's looking towards that main base, trying to dive directly through, going after some SCVs. First Mutalist has fallen. There's still plenty of mutas to get one-shots going. He's committing very heavily onto this mineral line. Loses about 3 mutas in total, but picks off maybe 4 or 5 SCVs. In the grand total of things, I would say that's a fair trade, but not exactly a good trade. Not what he was really truly looking for with that attack. You can see there's still 34, 35 workers. There's only 2 factories though still, and I'm starting to think that this may be an up mech play. It's just about time to start adding on those extra factories if he wants to go into a full-on attack. Factory coming up. Is he going to go into 5 factory though? He's focused very heavily on getting his Goliath count up. More SCVs are going to go down now in this natural. Bouncing the glaives off this barracks is actually going to net him some kills. The mutas are heavily damaged and being pushed back now. Double sunken colony in the natural. We've got a hatchery over in top right. SCV is going to spot that, but it's a very long push distance. And if you decide to go all the way to the top right with your Goliath army, it's kind of scary. There could be a massive counterattack that might get on top of your factories and deal a lot of damage. So it's going to be tempting to just go for the natural, and a little bit scary to go for that base in top right, but it seems like speed is actually going that direction. His Goliaths on the ramp are getting picked off. The SCVs down here in the natural are completely free game. He's going to work on those in a big way, picking off a ton of SCVs. You can see dropping that SCV count by a lot. Armor upgrade on the way. Did he actually get attack first? He did go for attack first. There's the Goliaths making their way into top right. This base is likely going to fall, but is the damage back at home enough? TvZ Gold still trying to get some more damage here. He's going after the turrets and opening up the position, but there's still 3 Goliaths. It's time to dive on the Goliaths and start to pick them off. No Ling rallies have come up here just yet. Gonna leave 3 units over in that top right hand corner to just try and kill the hatchery, sending the rest of the army back home now. Lings burrowed out on the map are spotting this army as it starts to come back home. TvZ Gold will be pushed away from this natural, but has he done enough damage? 32 workers remain, but even more are going to go down before this is over. Another Goliath is going to fall, coming down to face this entire army by itself. Not the greatest choice. Coming into the main base now, going after some more SCVs. My god. SCVs are falling 2 and 3 at a time to each volley, as many of them are very, very low. Look at how many SCVs have gone down. Suddenly we're at 18. It seemed like we were at 30 just a moment ago. The dive into the main base turned out to be insanely impactful in this game. Only 4 factories are made, but he can't afford to make even 1 Goliath at this point. His armor upgrade is done. His +1 attack is on the way as well, but 2 groups of mutas. I have to zoom all the way out in order to see both of these coming in from multiple angles, killing off even more SCVs, dropping them down to just 16. Time is gold. Showing an excellent control of 2 mutalist groups and pulling apart a meching Terran player with the absolute minimum number of units. Sitting here on 2 bases and making a very convincing showing for himself against one of the best Terran players in the world, one of the best TvZ players for sure in the world. Mormita's gonna be grouping up. He's got almost 2 full groups. I'm not 100% on that. There's 1 full group. We got another couple of mutas at the natural. So yeah, not quite 2 full groups. 2 more bases are coming up in opposite corners of the map. It's gonna be really hard for Speed to win this game now. Drop so far down in supply. He's at 57, 56 supply overall. Trying to make a few SCVs, just trying to squeeze out a little bit more economy. He knows he has a tiny bit of time before more bases start coming up and gases start to get saturated around the map. And during that time, he can sit back and just defend, but he will be required to do something soon about Time is Gold, who is continuing to grow and build in his power. Flying in now with a lot of mutas. Those 2 groups of mutas are going to go to work here in the natural, killing off some of these Goliaths. There's a few more Goliaths coming down to reinforce the position, but it's not a whole lot, and more SCVs are going to fall before he retreats. That's actually quite a few Goliaths, and he will have to back away. But again, more economic damage, more hurt has been done to the economy of Speed. He's looking very desperate at this point. Holding on by a thread. And Time is Gold just moments away from closing this game, adding on a lot more mutas. And now that he has his extra gas operational, we'll be pumping out even further, even more of a large muta army. No need to transition. I'm surprised we don't see another upgrade coming. But he has no pressure to switch his tech at all. Diving back into the main, gonna go right on top of some of these Goliaths, getting in on the SCVs once again. He knows the soft spot for Speed is those SCVs, and so he flies in, does a bunch of damage. He's going to back away. Speed, I think, might pull the trigger on an attack. He knows what a bad situation he's in now. He knows that top right has a base and it's going to be mining soon. I don't think that he's aware of top left as well, or this base that's just been taken by Time is Gold. He's going to push across and try to maybe come into the natural, although that seems like a difficult proposition with 3 Sunkens plus all the mutas that are available. That is going to be a tough sell. A lot of these Goliaths are not in the initial part of this fight. Backing away, doing a bit of micro here. He's trying to get the most he can out of these Goliaths as they trade for this mutalist force, but it seems like the mutas may end up winning the day regardless. GG is called. Speed taps out, and Time is Gold takes a game off of what I would say is the best TvZ player in the world right now, maybe even better than Sharp Speed. So crazy strong. I put him up against most players, but this mech play just did not work for him. I much prefer to see his Marine Medic versus Zerg, and I hope we're going to see some of that in our next game. Jumping into game number 2. Let's go check it out. All right, up next, I don't know who this player is called JD, but he's not him. 2512 2512 2512, number 49 on the ladder. We'll call him Scuffed J Dong, or just Scuffed for short. Scuffed over here in the center right. He is on Dominator, going up against the man Speed. Sexy 10-minute flash himself down in this bottom left. He's going to be opening up with a wall. So likely we're going to get, I would say, pretty good chance that it'll be Marine Medic this game. I doubt he's going to go for mech with the wall in. It's possible. Definitely possible, but we don't have a gas just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and say no. Unlikely that we're going to get that tech out of speed once again. He's scouting in the wrong direction, unfortunately, but fortunately for him, the wall-in will not be challenged, and there's not really much you can do as a Zerg player to punish a wall-in. And it doesn't even seem like Scuffed Jaedong is going to attempt to do any sort of punishing. He hasn't seen an SCV yet, and he's just gonna build only drones. Only drone production. Full-on drones. He's just gonna be getting his spawning pool out now. But he has done a good job of just droning up super duper hard. And seeing the wall, seems like he will not build any lings. Okay, he builds one set. But one set of lings. And straight on back into drone production. This is looking good. Like a solid game. With no early leads out of either side. Gas is coming online. Will we get an eBay? Or is it going to be a stim rush out of speed? Stim rush, I think it's looking a little bit, that's my feeling right now. Where's the eBay? Prove me wrong. Stim rush. Factory. Wait, what? All right, this is some, okay, this is some sort of Valkyrie timing. Yeah, that's what we're gonna get. Okay. Interesting. Not what I was expecting at all. But there you have it. Proving me completely wrong in this case. Hydroden on the way. Hydroden. Wait. Wait a second. He built a Hydroden and then he canceled it? Started a Spire. Am I seeing that right? I might have to go back a little bit later on and investigate what actually Speed saw. I just peeked in my corner of my eye. There's a Hydroden. Okay, he starts a Hydroden. I swear that I saw one earlier. Hydroden and Spire. So this is an interesting way to play. It's not great. It's not fantastic. But this is one way to play as a Zerg. Is you can build both techs and then you can wait for the scan to come down. And depending on where they scan, that's the type of tech that you make. So if he scans the main and he sees the Hydroden, then you make mutas. If he scans the natural and sees the Spire, then you make Hydras. And you just subvert expectations by going for one of these two techs. It's pretty clear what Speed wants to do. He's just gonna have Valkyries out. There's actually Mutalisk on the way, so the scan being kind of late is actually going to make things a little bit weird for Scuffed Jaedong. He's gonna be stuck with just making mutas, having the Hydralisk Den and not really having anything to do with it. It's okay. It's not a very expensive building. Just one drone, 100 minerals, 50 gas. He's not breaking the bank. He's not killing his Mutalisk timing with that. This might slow it down a little bit, but he's still going to have a fair number of mutas to begin this harassment with. And he starts Flyer Carapace, which is great. Great choice. Even though he didn't know that Valkyries were coming, having Flyer Carapace helps out a lot. Now, I don't know if you saw that Valkyrie or not with the lings coming up to the front. My instinct says no. Just based on the limited amount of vision that you can get with these lings. And yeah, he hasn't even seen where the command center is. So I doubt that he knows about the Valkyries on the way. He's going to go ahead and start his third. This is definitely a ladder Zerg. Let's see, his timing is not that great. 6 minutes and 48, and he's still not even attacking in yet. Just kind of hanging out over by the main base and thinking about flying in, but not actually flying in. He could come in here and kill a couple of SCVs at least. But instead, he's kind of waiting out in the front. He starts Lurker Aspect right away. He's going to have Lurker Aspect on the way. Scans go down, natural and third. Doesn't see the Hydra Den, though. It could be a problem. And we don't have... Ooh, big volleys there from the two Valkyries. And actually, Speed is one of the guys who has the best Valkyrie control from any Terran player that I've seen. He is so darn good with these Valkyries. Rarely does he ever mess up. Rarely does he ever miss a shot or slide into the opponent's army. He's always able to slide those Valkyries away from the army. Very good at not letting them get caught by these Scourge as well. He's going to come in. You can see he gets the slide. Doesn't get both of the Valkyries to attack, but he's got 3 Valkyries now. Going to try and bust this front. This is a very scary moment as a Zerg player. Not a whole lot of army here to work with. Not many Scourge either. He waits for the one volley to go off. He actually gets the majority of these Valkyries. He kills 2 Valkyries right off the bat. And it looks like the last Valkyrie will be cleaned up by these mutas. This was a very good cleanup, actually. Scuff Jadong handling that really, really well. He just got the +1 armor online, I think, as that fight was taking place. Or maybe just moments before. And so he actually gets in there. He connects with 2 pairs of Scourge on 2 separate Valkyries. And unfortunately, Speed just kind of falls apart. He is now in a real back foot position, having a hard time in this game. Will he be able to claw his way back? I imagine so. Not like this Zerg player is the real Jadong. Definitely not. Scuff Jadong shouldn't be that much of a challenge for him. His Speed's gonna move out again, once again, headed directly across the map. He doesn't have a tank or anything with this army, but he's starting to make vultures. He's starting to make maybe a mech transition with vehicle weapons on the way. That seems like a likely maneuver from Speed. There are lurkers out now, and we haven't scanned this high ground. Okay, there it is. The scan comes out. 3 lurkers going to make their way to the front. Muta's coming in from an angle. Going to take some big volleys from these Valkyries, and in fact, a second volley as well. That was a great move from Speed. Look at how little damage he actually took on those Valkyries, and he got 2 big volleys off. Not a lot of defense over here at the top right. Hive is not done. Some sunken colonies are coming up in an emergency measure to try and keep this base alive, but he might end up losing this game right here, right now. Where are the Sunkens? They're finally going to start to morph. Here comes the Marines. They are splitting, spreading, and hitting these Lurkers. Lurkers go down immediately. Lurkers coming up from behind. Can he possibly save this base? Great stim and spread. Just going to go ahead and target these down one by one. A great volley there from the Lurkers finally does go down. Lurkers clearing up all of this bio, and the mutas will stand strong. Sorry, I just had to cough. I actually had to cough during that whole fight. I don't know if you guys could notice, but I was struggling to keep it together. Pretty good job so far from Scuff Jadong. He's really hanging on well. This is a much better game than I was expecting out of one of these kind of no-name players. Players we don't even have information on, is holding up well against Speed, which is, again, really impressive. Finally gonna have some vultures come into this base. He should be able to get quite a few kills. We're getting 2, 3 kills now. That's all he'll be able to accomplish in this spot, but that's reasonable. Absolutely reasonable. Double evolution chamber in the natural. The Filer Mound is done. The full mech transition is underway now. You can see even the barracks now floating out onto the map. They'll be used as very efficient, tanky scouts for the rest of this game. eBay gonna float out as well. I don't know if that's what you want to do. Maybe just float it over the high ground just to watch for drops coming in, but you don't want to lose that eBay. Still do need to build turrets in case army gets in there. Oh, he doesn't really have the greatest position. In fact, he has nothing in front of the Zerg base, and so army's actually going to make its way right up on top of this. He's pulling the SCVs to try and block. Going to try and surround the... Oh my gosh. Try to surround the lurkers. That's not the best plan. 7 kills on this lurker as it just wipes out the SCV line. And now just a few Marines left over. Not nearly enough to deal with these lurkers. Has he tried to do the transition too quickly? Maybe not making enough Marines to keep this going. Quite a painful situation indeed for Speed as he tries to get maybe a vessel out. Do we have a... Okay, we do have one vessel. There's the flying science facility. He has Irradiate now as well. Energy enough for that too, but oh my gosh, Speed losing his way. He's at 450 APM, but I'm not sure where that APM is going or how it's being used. Great pull as well. Excellent, excellent pull. Holy. This guy has some very, very good mouse accuracy. My goodness. Run forward. Oh, right on top of the vessel as well. The vessel goes down. These tanks are being hit by the lurkers. It's not a great engagement for Speed in any sense of the word. And all the mines are just going to get cleared out immediately. None of them are able to connect. Finally, the tanks do take out that last lurker, and he can reestablish the third, but this is great by Scuffed Jadong. He spot himself a huge amount of time. He hasn't really used that time very well, unfortunately. Doesn't have any extra bases. He's just getting his third. Like, his third is just online. With a good number of workers, he's finally saturated that. But he doesn't have a fourth yet. The fourth will be coming up soon. Being equal on bases for any amount of time against a meching Terran player is not good. And we're going to see Speed take another base very soon. This is what I'm afraid of, that yes, this player has done very well. He's handled himself extraordinarily well in a game that I would expect him to get probably decimated or properly decimated. However, I don't know if he has what it takes, the skill necessary to grow at the level it'll take to overwhelm Speed in the late game. He has to start taking bases all over the map and just become massive. Because Speed will get to... He will get to +3 attack. And he will max out. There's no doubt in my mind. He is going to get a massive, massive army. And it'll be very hard for Scuff Jadong to actually engage with him, engage with his army at all. So you need to have a massive lead. You have to have so many units and such a massive lead that you can overwhelm positions, that you can throw, you know, dozens and dozens of Hydras into their death before even really engaging with the army properly, before getting on top of the tanks and taking the trade. You can't just have a small army or an equal army to your opponent and hope to win. You have to have an overwhelming army to make it possible. Good target firing on some of these drones. Gets like 2 or 3, not bad. Not great either. You can see a lot of good mine sweeping going on. I actually really appreciate that. That's super hard to do in late game situations. Not that we're totally in late game yet, but he's dealing with a lot. He's trying to prevent more run bys. He's macroing up like crazy. He's doing a lot of upgrading, and he's running around sweeping mines. Something is lacking though. The addition of this base was a bit slow, and getting up to this like 60 worker count, it's taking him quite a bit of time. He needs to get those 60 workers out and get more bases saturated as soon as possible. And once those conditions are met, then we may be able to see him take a big fight late game with a strong Terran army. But I mean, we're on even bases. It is a mineral only base, albeit, but this is even number of bases. +3 upgrade is nearly half complete. Speed is looking really strong. 4 queens on the way. Of course, queens plus hydras are going to be incredibly strong against that mech play, but only if you're able to have them connect. If you're able to get them into the positions that they need to be. Good harassment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more drones end up going down, dropping them back down to a total of 50. And he needs to get another round out before switching fully into a macro and pumping out a huge number of hydras and queens. Like, he's building a few drones, he's building a few hydras, but he's not getting into that critical mass of drones, that critical mass of hatcheries and overall economy that you need to fight this massive late game mech army. It is a struggle to make it happen. And at the same time, he's going in for a drop. Whoa, a drop, a massive drop into this main base. But look at how prepared Speed is. 2 tanks in this corner. A few more units are going to come in. Great. Oh my goodness, this Irradiate is absolutely massacring the mutas. That was a full group and a half of mutas that just went down for hardly any return. And the hydras are going to get pushed all the way back into this corner. This is a massacre. Speed turning what seemed like a reasonable smart play from the Zerg player. A decidedly intelligent maneuver of dropping into the main of a meching player turned into, like I said, absolute slaughter. Only a few tanks ended up falling, hardly anything traded back. That's why I actually prefer to go for drops with the combination of queens. You need queens in the army as well to make this truly worth it. You drop into a base, you snipe tanks, and then as the tanks and Goliaths are coming back into the main, that's when they're truly vulnerable to the Broodling spell. That's when Broodling gets its real value, is as the army is in transit. Not when everything is all set up and Goliaths are surrounding the tanks, but as the tanks are coming down the ramp and the Goliaths are not able to cover them properly, that's when you can get some very, very good trades. We do not have a Defiler over at this base. If we did, he could hold on indefinitely to this base over in top center, because he's got 1 Defiler pushing forward with Lurkers and Hydras, which is quite good, but I'm a little bit worried. If he had one Defiler there, he could block this forever. Great mine connecting on some of these Hydras. If he runs forward, he could connect onto these tanks, but unfortunately, he's probably going to end up losing this base. Coming around the side, he wants to cast some Broodlings, and he will get a few off, which is nice. That always helps, but losing the base is a little bit unacceptable at this point. We cannot be losing bases. And Speed is continuing to grow. I think that Speed is going to outgrow Scuffed Jaedong at this point. There's no way we're going to see our Zerg player keep up in terms of economy. This 450 APM is starting to show. You can see Hydras just kind of running in one by one. getting overwhelmed by tank fire, and GG is called. There it is. Speed taking out Scuffed Jaedong with a strong 3-2 mech push that just crushes through and destroys all of the economy. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit longer to just watch the cannons with their arc-like shock cannons blast through all of these buildings and the few hydras that are gonna pop out at the end of these fights, the end of this game. Look at this, he's even gonna stick around for a little bit longer. Let's zoom forward a bit. There we go, he finally did leave this game. Just checking to see what was remaining. Not much is what was left there for the Zerg, and I mean, this is just a hallmark of great play. This base over here in the top left that he was taking as he was losing this base and attacking, this is excellent, excellent decision making and just overall speed from the fastest Terran player that we have, Mr. Sexy, going into game number 3, already putting out some good performances. Let's jump in to that next one. Next up is going to be Luminous. This is a player who I'm very curious as to his origin. Luminous has 9 accounts that are in S rank. He's got a 25. He's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 accounts in 2,500 and 1 in 2,300. Very strong Zerg. All Zerg accounts, by the way. But unknown as to who this actually is. Is he just a weekend warrior? Is he a dad that just loves to play Starcraft in his free time? Is he an aspiring pro gamer? Is he an old pro who just prefers to play anonymously? We're not quite sure. Doesn't match up to any of the hotkey layouts or maps that we have on record. Not able to find a match for any of those. And so I'm very curious to see how this guy is going to play. I first found him a couple of days ago, but here we go. An 8 racks coming out of speed. And the engagement is going pretty well for speed. 2 kills so far. A third almost goes down, but a good pull on that last drone. Will he be able to catch it on the escape? No. Pulling away the targeted drone once again. 3 lings on the way. This is basically held. Oh, can he get that last drone? No. That's gonna pull away as well. Very good control overall. Only 3 drones end up going down. I think that's relatively okay. He forces the bunker to cancel. The lings are gonna kill this Marine for sure. May even get an SCV as well. There you go. Gets the SCV. Marine will fall. 1 ling gonna be left to finish that off. Oh, he might go for the main and try to find the one that weakened drone. It might be on the gas. No. Oh, I guess it's healed up a bit, and so he's definitely not going to be able to deal any damage. He gets a pretty decent scout though. Yes, if you're gonna loop back around and come into scout, the wall back at home is nice, and so speed will be fine. Luminous holds reasonably well. It's not great, but I would say this is about dead even. If you kill 4 drones with the bunker rush, then you are ahead as the Terran player, but only 3. I mean, it's something, but it's not enough to make up for the lost early game economy, the slowdown to your SCV production, and your later command center. And so I guess it is prudent to mention, it's smart to mention that there were a whole bunch of games between Luminous and Speed. I would say like 5 or 6 in the past week. But most of them were under 10 minutes. Most of them ended very, very early. So I imagine it was to plays like this with the early game 8 racks. I'm not really a big fan of just watching 8 racks win games or lose games. Nor am I a fan of just watching, you know, Lings overwhelm an early game Terran. So I opted not to cast any of those, you know, 5 or under minute games. 10-minute or under games are not quite as interesting to me, so I might mix one of those in the future just to keep you guys on your toes. But for now, we're not going to be watching any of those. We're instead avoiding those quick games and going into this series, or this, I guess, I think we have 2 games that went a bit longer. We'll get an opportunity to see how these guys match up in the mid game. Pushing forward with a small group of bio. He's gone into that 3 racks with a factory coming up probably here pretty soon. Checking up at 12 o'clock, looking for an expansion. It's over at that top left in the natural, and because of the early game aggression and pressure, the Spire is a little bit slow. It's a little bit later than it otherwise would have been. And so the drone gonna have to cancel, gonna hide in this base. Not hiding far enough though. And so Speed, who's spotted that, will eventually track this drone to the top left-hand corner. Goodbye, drone. That is a sad loss indeed for Luminous. Speed picking up momentum now in this game, having denied that 3rd base. Just needs to hold back at home. Hide these Marines. Probably send them back in a weird angle, weird pathway to reach the base. So hopefully they don't get surrounded and killed, although that's pretty likely. Pretty likely you're going to lose that group of bio on the map. Eventually there'll be enough mutas, and it'll be before the bio can make its way home. Lings are already at present, so 6 Lings plus a full group of mutas. Easy kills on this bio group. 2 sunken colonies back at home, so he doesn't have to worry about this bio group just running in and, you know, killing him. Does have to worry about the Marines actually getting in the pathway of the mutas though. If you're sending like 2 or 3 mutas in a rally, and then suddenly there's a bio group standing here and it just kills your 2-3 mutas, that can actually change the course of the game. Diving in now over onto this natural. He's gonna catch Lings. Oh, that was actually a pretty good use of them, and he brings the Marines back into a big group. Oh god, the mutas are just gonna fly straight through. That was awkward. Mutas are gonna have to head home now because the bio group that's joined up together is quite scary, and the Lings are all gone. A lot of sunken colonies being made back at home. A bit of an overreaction maybe, or perhaps exactly what he needs to dive and just go all in with these mutas. Maybe he can go and get on top of the barracks now that some of these turrets have been killed, while back at home sunken colonies hold on to everything. Diving on top of the rally point. Can he kill these Marines at the rally? Now there's no Marines left. Maybe he can go for the kill. Oh, back at the natural. The sunken colonies are holding, but for how much longer? 3 remain, and they're kind of splitting their shots. If they were to target the same units, they would easily clear these bio units, but the mutas are forced to return and clear out that bio group. Pretty decent. It's okay for Luminous. He's fine right now. He's gonna send another drone over to the top left, start to you know, reclaim some gas, maybe even just go straight to 12 because top left is a little bit too far. No, he will go to top left. Want to get that base up as soon as possible, so some players will just opt to grab that closer base. He starts all of the transitionary buildings, and so he's gonna get that rolling while putting the pressure on with these mutas, but he's got no real threat on the map. There's no scariness from Speed for the next few moments. And he's actually building a lot of turrets. Look at him. He cancels one. He got that scan in and saw that the transition was coming. He was a bit afraid of the Mutalisk all in to follow this up. He actually even built the armory as well. We might see him go for the same play we saw earlier. Go ahead and get some Valkyries out and then transition into a mech a little bit later. This is a great trade for Luminous. Building off a lot of these Marines. He's probably going to kill the 2 supply depots as well. The SCV is likely to go down in addition. And SCV is going to fall and both supply depots will end up dying. That's kind of nice. Finally, the third base gets started though. 10 minutes in. Just starting that third base now. Lurker aspect already halfway done. Armor getting close to halfway point as well. Valkyries are starting to be made. And yeah, there's not a lot of time until those Valkyries start to hit. Machine shop on the way. Maybe he's going to go for a tank push. Or perhaps it's just more vultures and some mines for speed coming soon. Can't be losing this first Valkyrie. He is going to end up losing that. Oh gosh. That is a big loss. First Valkyrie going down already. You really do need to have a critical mass of Valks, and generally speed is so good with his overall control of those Valkyries. It's kind of shocking to witness him messing that up so brutally. Valkyrie is done. Tanks are on the way. We don't have siege mode just yet, but generally you can start the siege mode right as you start the move out. And if you do that properly, oh gosh, he's gonna lose the other Valkyrie. Ooh, another Valkyrie goes down. This is looking really, really rough now for speed. Luminous taking control of this game, just beating down those Valkyries over and over. And how are you gonna keep the tank alive? If you can't even keep the Valkyries alive, they can fly. Tank is gonna get stuck on the other units. It can't shoot back, it can't attack air, so very unlikely to be able to keep that alive. Lurkers running up into the natural now. That's so many Lurkers getting right in on top of these Marines. An excellent attack here from Luminous, but he will back away, realizing that with the tanks here and scans coming down, he doesn't have a lot of longevity with the Lurkers in the front. There's 2 scans remaining, and so if he just baits the scans, you get the scan out of speed and then back up, force another scan and back up again, speed will not be able to push any farther forward. Defiler makes its way to the front. This is a critical moment as the Defiler finishes up that upgrade. Luminous may just be able to clean this up, running forward with the Lurkers now, setting up some Dark Swarms in the natural. And this is just about over. No science vessels in sight. No science vessel even in the mind of speed. I guess he has the science facility done, but he has not started one there. Okay, no, he does have one. Excuse me. Science vessel pops out. Does he actually have a radiate? I mean, it's going to take a year to kill all these Lurkers, and by that time, more will be arriving. Another Lurker on the way, or another Defiler on the way. More Lurkers going to be popping out soon. It's just not going to happen for speed. Unfortunately, he will be taken out by Luminous, our mystery Zerg player, pushing in for the win. This has been a pretty excellent display from him. Despite losing the third base, despite being kind of on the back foot in the early parts of this game, able to handle, to stand with the best. Speed, having a hard time keeping up with this guy. That is impressive to say the least. A dropship gonna go out on the map in such a situation. Oh, he's actually just gonna land on the other side, maybe try to get in the way of the reinforcement train, but more Lurkers are coming down. They're making their way into the natural. Does have still 2 tanks in a pretty good spot. Unburrow now, start to push forward. He doesn't where's the oh yeah, the science vessel died. Forgot about that one. Science vessel actually died, so Speed is on his last legs. He's gonna try and go across the map with just a few Marines, but as you can see, plenty of defense over at this base. Can't really get in there. Gonna set up a little bit of a contain at least to maybe slow things down. As soon as a Dark Storm comes out, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. He will head over towards that third. And in fact, Luminous backs away, so he wasn't able to get another Defiler down to this natural, but he's done so much damage. Oh, I thought, okay, I thought that was the starport that just died. Something burned. I think it might have been a barracks. Starport's still alive. Must have been repaired. Factory getting remade. This is a tough position for Speed, man. He is in so much trouble. Gonna come across the map and try to make something happen. But what can he possibly do? Does he have a drop somewhere? I heard something else explode. Sounded like a building. He did have a dropship. Not, oh, okay, it's over here at the natural. It's not gonna be able to do anything. Some of these lurkers are gonna get tagged, but Dark Swarm at the natural gonna prevent any more progress from Speed. This is where things start to feel just completely impossible. Moving out with the dropships with nothing in it. It's a pretty good choice. That way he's not going to, oh gosh, he puts a D-Matrix on the tank that was surrounded by Lings. That can't even run away. And so it will end up dying. D-Matrix not going to be the magic bullet to get Speed back in this game. Going after the Science Vessel, he gets it. Science Vessel goes down, drop into the main, but there's plenty of mutas there. And GG is called. Speed taps out, taken down by Luminous. We've got another game between these two, so strap in. Let's jump into that next one. Our second game with Luminous versus Speed. And these two players, yeah, their games against each other have been extremely aggressive. Not giving each other the time of day nor any mercy. Just going at each other's throats from moment one in any given game. A lot of these, like I said, end very, very early, so plenty of cheeses, plenty of early aggression on either side. We'll see if this one's any different. That last one was pretty intense. With the Soul Key-esque hive off of 2 base, really. There's a 2 base hive with the 3rd base just coming online very late on. I'm always impressed to see Zerg players win like that, where they lose their 3rd base and they just keep their Mutalisk active and they keep getting value with those units and quickly switch into Lurker, get a Defiler across the map, and push their way into the natural. It's quite impressive the way that these strong Zergs are able to do that. Take those quick wins off of Terran players who seem to have the advantage. Everything seems to be going their way. They've denied the bases. But unfortunately, Speed, I mean, he lost his whole army at the natural, diving in against 6 Sunkens. You just can't do that against one of these top tier Zergs. You cannot allow your entire army to die and so many Mutalisks to remain after that. If you trade out your whole army and all the mutas are dead and all the Marines are dead, pretty good chance you can play from that position, but yeah, it's tough when the muta number is still high. And oh gosh, that drone got killed off so quickly. One drone going down and he's not even going to be able to stop this bunker. Oh, he cancels it. All right. Cancels a bunker. Wants to get the CC out, I guess. Knows that Lings are about to pop and only has the 1 Marine. 3 Marines now on the high ground. He guns down one of the Marines immediately. Nice job there. Speed playing a bit of a mind game. Does need to back up though. Okay, he's got 4 Marines. This is 5 Lings though. 5 Lings kind of wrecks. Oh god, he's not fully paying attention. Let's get up on top of these Marines though, and it looks like the Lings win the day, finishing off that last Marine. And speed has started. Ling speed on the way. 1 single Marine, not really much of a challenge. Can just jump on it with the Ling, do enough damage so that the 1 drone can actually finish it off. No, he doesn't do that. Okay, gonna pull 3 drones. Can still easily fight this. Oh, hello. Okay, pull the drones, That's kind of annoying. Gonna slow down the mining here a little bit. Tries to get that 1 kill, so close. 1 set of Lings gonna pop and finish this off. A reasonable defense from Luminous. Had to pull some drones back into the main, but it's okay. We'll get back to mining here just fine in a moment. That's his lair coming up at a reasonable time. And another 3 racks out of speed. He's been really favoring this play recently, especially in this series, in this video. So many 3 racks. Whenever he goes bio, it seems like maybe this is just his ladder build. This is just a build that is super standard, gives him a lot of options, gives him a lot of play, and he feels very confident playing this build into anything that Zerg's on the ladder planning to pull out against him. It does feel like it has a very robust, like a reasonable, robust number of Marines at a pretty good timing. Plus you get the very fast factory, which allows you to deal with a lot of weird tech plays out of the Zerg. Gets the scan. Don't really see much there in the natural, but he has his Marines pumping. He's got his +1 now. Turrets are going to be on the way as those mutilas start to spawn 3rd base in the top right-hand corner. Pretty standard stuff from that early game. Bit of aggression into really nice normal bio versus Mutalisk transition. See if he does anything funky. If he wants to get into some weird tech, or if he's just going to battle with these metas and he's in fact going for +1. Luminous prepping the metas, bringing the glaive worms out to play. Just the 4 metas right now, and it's getting a few more out. In the meanwhile, we're chilling. It's a beautiful day today in Japan. It's in the autumn season now, so the leaves are changing color. It's beautiful. Everything looks kind of like a sunset. All those leaves, the pretty colors. Definitely my favorite part of the year to be in Japan is October, November. September is still very nice and actually quite warm, but I like the cooler temperatures. Not cold, but you know, around 15 to 20 degrees is my preferred temperature for sure. Sometimes I like it hot, but it can get a little bit tiring being sweaty all the time. And so October, November is a very nice reprieve. Of course, January, February, December, not so much December, but January, February is a little bit rough. That's when it gets really cold. And so I'm not looking forward to that, but it's just a nice medium temperature. It's a nice middle ground with some beautiful colors now. And so I'm all about it. Speed moving over towards this top right-hand corner. He's gonna adjust over to the top as he's sending a small bioforce over to this natural. There's actually nothing over here at the natural to deal with this, and so we're gonna see Luminous tested to the absolute brink. Let's see if he can handle both these fights at the same time. He's microing mutas on this side while taking this fight at the natural, and it's not gonna go well for him. Unfortunately, he loses all of his army over at that natural. He's going to start to lose drones while he's microing against these Marines. The Marines run in to deal damage to the drones at the third base. This is too much. Speed has pulled him asunder. He's ripped him to pieces. And there's not much which remains. One Marine left over. That's going to get killed eventually. Not much he can do. 4 kills on that, though. A 5th kill in the bank. Uses the last of his energy and health on one stim to try and get another kill, but ends up getting picked off. Double Valkyrie follow-up. Oh. Ooh, I like it. This is a really sick play. He knows that a lot of mutas are going to be made. There's no way you're just going to sit here and transition. Spend drones on, you know, building a Hydra Den and a Queen's Nest when you've already lost so much. That is a no-go. So with the double Valkyrie popping out, these mutas are gonna get slapped. And the follow-up attack with the mutas, likewise gonna get wrecked. He only has +1 attack. He's gonna go after the Valkyries. The Valkyries try to get the moving shot, but it's not the greatest one. It actually flicks into the mutalist clump. And so both the Valkyries go down, but the mutas have been annihilated. Only, what, 6 remain? There's a drone over here as well. This is 9 mutas left, but look at how low they all are. Health is incredibly low. 2 more Valkyries pop out. And he's gonna try and come in with, it's this 9 mutas on very low HP. I doubt he'll get anything done, and Speed's gonna be able to put the pressure back on. There's the good micro that we love to see from Speed, controlling his Valkyries at the highest possible level, getting that great volley with the sliding micro as well. Has done so much damage to this muta ball. A few desperation scourge is what I'll call these. He's trying to pray that he can get a bunch of connections, but he immediately flies in and realizes that this game is over. GG is called. Speed takes this final game. Excellent control out of him. Good decision making to switch directly into Valkyrie after dealing that damage. That is honestly one of the most taxing things you can ever do in Broodwar, is when the Marine ball splits into 2 and you've got 2 different areas that you have to control Lings and mutas at. All right, he's controlling a muta ball over at top right, and he's controlling muta and Ling over at his natural. It is so hard to fight that efficiently. It is near impossible. And we saw there Luminous, despite him having so many high rank accounts, despite him being incredibly good and a strong player, not able to handle this little diversionary tactic, this taxing attack from Speed. It's honestly crazy that players don't do this a bit more, because it is just so hard to deal with. The bio group moving towards the top right, plus a mini bio group heading over towards the natural. Beautifully done by Speed, taking it to him, giving him the business. Speed, an absolute champ. Love to see him play. I'm going to be looking forward to more Speed versus Zerg games in the future, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.